We just got some crazy new lore for Glitch. Glitch is one of the most powerful beings in the Doors universe, living in the player's mind, forcing them through trials to make them stronger so he can finally escape the limbo once and for all. If that sounds confusing, let me explain. So Doors just had their daily run update, and between that and the Christmas event, a ton of new lore for Glitch was revealed. At face value, it seems like the lore for this character is just an excuse to make previously non-canon features like certain events and item skins canon, but in reality it's so much more than that. I personally think that Glitch is one of the most well-executed characters in terms of the lore. So let's start by talking about what is Glitch. Well, Glitch is actually some sort of computer virus, but instead of infecting an actual computer, it infests our minds. The reason I call him a computer glitch is his first dialogue line says "Hello World," which is a line commonly associated with the start of computer code. Plus, all his UI and badges are computer themed. Okay, well that means the character we play as is a computer, right? Well, no, of course not. Why would that makes no sense. We know we canonly play as this guy, a human. That's all confusing until you realize that Glitch is not Wait, what? That's all confusing until you realize that Glitch is not actually a physical thing, and everything he creates isn't real either. He's like a hyper-realistic hallucination, all created in our characters' minds. So let's go through some of these hallucinations he's created. Starting off with an interesting one, item skins. In this piece of rare dialogue, Glitch comments on the items you're using and says they could use a splash of color. And on top of that, when you have a crucifix with an item skin equipped, the wingdings are changed to talk about Glitch, which means he is the one making the characters see them. This explains why when you drop an item on the floor, you can't see the item skin. Although there is a problem with this, is if the item skins are hallucinations, why can other players see them? This goes completely against the other things Glitch makes, like glitch fragments, where only you can see the entities that creates, not other players. But honestly, I think it's just an oversight for the developers so that you can show off your items, that's all. The other things Glitch does is create glitch fragments and visions. The reason I'm grouping these two together is because they're both used as trials to test and make our characters stronger. And yes, that's the whole point of the visions, like Cringle's workshop, the daily runs, and even super hard mode, retro mode, and the Halloween mode. And if you're thinking, how do you know those are visions? Well, I say to that, look at this developer's message. But anyways, the last thing that Glitch does is teleport us when a room fails to load, or when you're left behind, but only in a subfloor. This ability he has is really confusing, because it's not just something in your mind, because he physically moves you. In my other Glitch lore video, when I knew a lot less about Glitch, I said he was the connection between the Doors world and the human world, because when the room fails to generate, it's a problem from the human world. This means he's the only one of the entities who know about our world. And with all that information, he now wants to escape the limbo to get to our world, but he can't do it alone. This is why he has to work with the player. This is why he's creating visions to train our player, putting them into different situations, testing our abilities to be able to survive different things, different harsh conditions, all of this to get us ready, to get us stronger for whatever it is we have to do to escape the limbo once and for all. And with it, he escapes too. So how does he actually train us? Well, with what we know so far, he takes aspects of things that already exist in the Doors world and modifies them to be more difficult or just different. I think he often asks himself, what if, when creating a vision? Like, what if the player played through the mines rooms but with backdoors entities and it randomly switches to the hotel halfway through? And he also creates prediction models, predicting how we will react to these different conditions. It's likely that Glitch will keep doing this, keep ramping up the difficulty and slowly strengthening us to get better and better. So now that we know all of that, how about we go through some of Glitch's death messages? Some of the cool lore things he tells us when we die in one of his visions. One of the things he talks about in his death messages are the architects, how he compares himself to them but is not one of them. One message states, they can learn, so can I. They can design, so can I. They can create, I cannot, but I can show you. This is confirmation that he can only make things in our minds that are not real. He cannot interact with the physical world in any way like the architects can, such as guiding light and curious light. In another message, he directly says, I am no architect, so at least we can 100% confirm that. But on top of that, he says the one who made me doesn't realize my true potential. And I think we actually know who made him. It's not 100% sure, and it's just a theory I created, but it makes sense to me. I think it's Curious Light. If you die to a glitch entity in one of the subfloors, Curious Light says this: "It isn't supposed to be here. I'm not sure how my... And then after it says, I believe it attacks stragglers, if I'm remembering correctly. To me, it seems like Curious Light made the glitch, just as a way to keep the group together, but it grew way too powerful, self-conscious, and became so much more than it was designed to be. If you die a second time, Curious Light says this: there must be a tear. That thing shouldn't be here. As if Glitch got too powerful, and Curious Light tried to create a border to stop Glitch from getting into the subfloors. This is actually the same border that doesn't let any of the other entities in the main floors get into the subfloors. Now, this border did work for a while until it didn't. That's because Glitch found us. He found a vessel. Well, I guess Glitch is really taking a page out of Vecna's book. Okay, you wouldn't understand if you don't watch Stranger Things, but anyway, when Glitch got into our minds and we went into the subfloors through the normal subfloor entrances, Glitch could follow us into there. Obviously, because he's inside of our brain. So I guess that explains why Glitch is in every single floor instead of just the main floors. Then there's also a secret death message that simply says 504. No other words, just that number. At first, I had no idea what this meant, but after a quick Google search, I found that it could either mean an HTTP error, or in other words, a glitch, so that makes sense. Or the other meaning, which is the work you've been doing to improve is aligning with your life's mission and sole purpose. Kinda random, and I don't really think that's what the developers were going for, but I guess that could make sense because Glitch is working towards what he thinks is his life mission, which is to escape the limbo. But who knows, it's probably just the first meaning. And to me, the most mysterious death message of all, they all died for you, so you can afford to die for me. Just a few times. Now, the dying just a few times does make sense in the Doors world, because after you die, you loop back to the beginning and you do it all again. But the "they all died for you" line is super confusing to me. To me, it seems like there's two possibilities of what it could mean. The first one being, maybe it's the entities you use the crucifix on, or maybe, because he has all of our memories, including the one of the real world, it could be something our character has done in the real world before we ended up in limbo. Or maybe even the reason that we're here in limbo in the first place. Let me know down in the comments what your theory for this line is. What do you think "they all died for you" means? So, to wrap up this video, a once non-canon entity has become something super powerful. He has so much lore to him, and I'm sure this video is only scratching the surface of the story behind this entity. Just like the architects, we don't even know his true potential. It's just a matter of time before we get to see how he executes his master plan of escaping the limbo. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. If you like this video, consider liking and maybe even subscribing. Have an impeccable day, and goodbye.